10 Mad Max clone B-movies best for guilty pleasures. When the audiences first got a taste of Mad Max in 1979, little did they know that it would go on to have a permanent impact on pop culture. George Miller crafted a masterpiece that thrived under some legendary actors like Mel Gibson. Several movies in the times to come tried to replicate the storyline of a futuristic, post-apocalyptic society. The low-budget filmmakers resorted to a light-hearted take on the classic through some entertaining B-movies. While these movies are no remarkable work of art, they are fun to watch, and in this video, we bring you food for your guilty pleasures through these amazing B-movies that are Mad Max clones. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. Battletruck, 1982. The movie is premised in a futuristic world post-World War III era where governments have collapsed, leading to a large-scale bankruptcy. In the wastelands, a community decides to put up a fight against the local warlord named Stryker. He has a massive supply of fuel, but a girl from his camp turns against him and teams up with the protagonist, who takes up the challenge of battling the forces of Stryker. Will their strategies be enough to succeed against the more powerful opponents? This movie is a simple yet effective take on Mad Max, where the makers use the minimalistic plot to their advantage. The narrative is simple and backed by some impressive acting performances. The black truck that was used looks pretty intimidating, and it is cool to watch the shots captured from the camera mounted in front of the truck facing it. This truck is used by the sadistic warlord Stryker, played by James Wainwright, who does a fairly good job in this menacing role. The hero is no less in his nifty-looking bike, and there are some non-stop action sequences to keep you engaged throughout the movie. One of the great things about Battletruck is the way they handle every killing with finesse, and it makes it look real. The landscapes used to portray the post-apocalyptic world were chosen carefully from Otago in New Zealand, and the cinematography adds a realistic touch to the filming. Watch out for the final chase sequence where the bike takes on the Battletruck. Six String Samurai, 1998. In a post-apocalyptic world, the US has been nuked and taken over by the Russians. The protagonist, Buddy, is as skilled with his samurai sword as he is with his guitar. This wandering warrior is a 50s rocker and roams the wastelands with his guitar in one hand and his sword in the other. He is on his way to Vegas, where he wishes to succeed Elvis as the king. He saves an orphan in a spectacular battle and takes him along with him. As the metalhead horsemen are in pursuit, the duo must put up a great show to defend themselves along the road trip from hell. The movie is a great adaptation of a bizarre piece of comic book fiction and offers the kind of campy adventure that helps you get over a bad day at work. The overall theme of this movie is like a multi-layered spoof of various genres. You will particularly enjoy the film if you are a fan of rock and roll musicals with a dash of action. The protagonist is a Buddy Holly lookalike traveling with a samurai sword and his 6 strings that makes for a stylish package. The subtle references and spoofs are fun to watch. Action lovers will get a kick from all the hacking and slashing as the hero moves through his enemies. The cinematography is impressive, and the music deserves an extra round of applause for lifting the standards of the movie. You will hardly notice the lack of budget and poor costumes or special effects as the captivating story takes over. Stryker, 1983. A disastrous apocalypse has wiped out the water supply in the world, and survivors are struggling to find the remaining water sources. A group of Amazons guards the last of the remaining springs, and the secret is known to a beautiful woman. An evil gang captures her and tries to extract the information through torture. This is where the hero Stryker steps in and forms a team with the Amazonians to free the suffering woman. An ultimate battle between the good guys and the baddies will decide the fate of the world. The 80s saw several Mad Max ripoffs making their way to the theaters. Stryker would rank among the more entertaining ones. With a low budget and acting, the focus is mostly on the fun aspect. The main character is a roguish, silent wanderer who is on a personal mission but strays after meeting with some cliché situations of such movies. The acting performances are rather average, but you shouldn't expect much from a B-movie with a Chuck Norris lookalike in the first place. The set design is simple because all it shows are abundant deserts that are simple to pull off without a cost burden. Lengthy car chases, shootouts, and explosions make sure that there is no dearth in action sequences. Even with the cheesy execution of the plot, you wouldn't mind the beautifully partly clothed woman and tons of thrill and excitement. Dune Warriors, 1991. It has come to the doomsday where the world's systems have completely collapsed. A few vicious warlords rule over the thirsty planet that is struggling with water sources. In the face of their relentless oppression, a brave woman stands up to their wrongdoings. She is helped by 5 warriors as they try together to save their town from the wrath of the warlords. They also have to protect their water sources to stay safe from the evil forces. The director, Sergio Santiago, has also directed post-apocalyptic movies like Future Hunters, and he brings in all his experience to work on this project. The plot moves at a brisk pace that ensures no dull moments ruin your viewing. Dune Warriors enjoys a sincere acting performance from the cast as Maria Isabel Lopez, Blake Boyd, and Rick Hill all deliver the goods. The rough terrain bodes well with the ample action sequences that will keep you on your toes. The abundance of woman without clothing is also a sight for sore eyes. Explosions, martial arts, and chase sequences offer some adrenaline-pumping moments. For a B-movie, Dune Warriors has a wonderful background score, and even the end credits song is enjoyable. Overall, this Mad Max ripoff is the perfect flick to go for with a couple of beers on a fun evening. Equalizer, 2000, 1987. In a post-nuclear world, a vehicular gang operates in a situation where various warring factions are struggling to gain power. Everyone wants to get their hands on the ultimate machine gun called Equalizer 2000 that will ensure control over the lands. A muscular hero named Slade wields this powerful gun and tries to restore some balance to this messed up world. Will the weapon be strong enough to take on the combined forces of the thugs? Given that the director, Sergio Santiago, has worked wonders with such lesser budgets, it is no surprise that he pulls off a stunner with decent financial backing. With some talented actors like Richard Norton and Robert Patrick in the mix of things, this is a B-movie that often doesn't feel like one. The action scenes could be filmed better, but they still pack quite a punch. The chaotic battles between anonymous forces, however, get a tad boring at times. The dialogues are purposely cheesy, and the plot isn't meant to make any sense. The gun is quite a sight, as it is basically just pipes glued together to form the monstrosity. The gorgeous Corinne Wall adds to the oomph factor of the movie with her suggestive mannerisms and dialogues. It might be dubbed garbage, but it most certainly is fun garbage that will offer you some wholesome entertainment. Rats, Nights of Terror, 1984. The movie is premised in a world that has been devastated by nuclear war 100 years ago. The society has divided into 2 factions, the underground world and the scavengers above in the wastelands. A group of motorcyclist scavengers arrives in a deserted town in search of some food and water. They discover that the town is infested with dangerous flesh-eating rats. Now, they take up arms such as flamethrowers and assault weapons to deal with the threat of these killer rodents. The movie is hilariously inept and goofy beyond imagination to the point where you are bound to enjoy, despite the glaring flaws. While the plot is ridiculous, it becomes a laugh riot once the rats attack. You will literally be able to spot the hands that throw the rats toward the actors. The weak animal rights laws in Italy help the maker get away with the scenes where they are clearly burning rats alive. The overacting and over-the-top maniacal laughter adds to the fun quotient of the movie. There are some silly scenes, such as when the gang mounts a set of stairs that are covered in rats, and you can clearly see the rats trying to get away. The unintentional humor keeps you on the edge of your seats, and the climax will leave you with belly cramps from laughing too hard. This film might be trash, but we all know that such films have often helped us in some difficult times. 2019, after the fall of New York, 1983, a nuclear war has resulted in a situation where the surviving humans are sterile. The victorious group has occupied Manhattan, and they hunt down survivors to conduct genetic experiments on them. The protagonist is told that there is a fertile woman in New York City, and he has to infiltrate the city and rescue her. He is accompanied by 2 agents, and the group faces various kinds of attackers as they try to pull off the impossible mission. This movie immediately comes to mind if you speak of hilarious Mad Max ripoffs. In fact, this is a parody of every post-apocalyptic movie ever made. The classic exploitation elements, violence, gunfire, and gore are present in just the right amounts, and coupled with a rampant humor, the movie promises to be a great entertainer. There is some funny, innovative character and the treacherous URAC officer who tries to stop the hero at all costs. The fast-paced narrative and the exciting mission of the protagonist will hold your attention throughout the movie. The filmmakers are clearly trying to have some fun, and none of it is meant to be taken seriously. The cheesy special effects add to the goofiness of the movie, and fans of Italian B-movies will love this bundle of joy. Mad SHELIA, 2016. The basic setting for this movie is almost the same as in Mad Max Fury Road. The wastelands in a chaotic world are explored by a female bounty hunter. She dresses up like a man and roams around the region looking for her victims. She gets involved with a group of virgins who are being sold to evil warlords. The bounty hunter now uses all of her skills to save the group and wages a lone battle against these leather-clad, goggle-wearing warlords. It's fair to say that Mad SHELIA is more like a cheap knockoff of Mad Max Fury Road. China has produced numerous copycat films, and this is one more feather to its notorious cap. The movie is somewhat of a combination of homage and a parody of this iconic classic. You will get to see the same beefed-up battle cars in a superficial environment that features a dreadful villain. Even the idea of a female protagonist being the lone fighter has been inspired by the source of material. You might enjoy the rampant action, but there isn't much to speak of about the rather ordinary acting performances. This was released as a TV movie and on the Chinese streaming platform. As long as you don't take it too seriously, it might just be a fun flick for a movie night with friends. Called Rage, 1984. There is a hidden uranium source in the middle of nowhere that can be the savior of mankind. In a war-ravaged post-apocalyptic world, a brave soldier enters the region to find the source. The problem is that another rival adventurer is looking for the same uranium for his personal requirements. This leads to an eventual clash between the two where the winner takes it all. Tonino Ricci is a notoriously famous name in Italian cinema and is known to deliver some of the wackiest B-movies that you will ever come across. Whilst this film is no masterpiece, it does soar higher than the usual works of Ricci that are full of lackluster action and poor acting. The storyline seems to be aimless, and the protagonists are seen driving in a jeep through deserted lands for much of the movie. The decent action sequences and the sloppily conceived happy ending are the only takeaways from the film. There are some funny moments, such as when the hero is beset by some radiation-infected mutants. The lack of budget clearly impacts the production and costumes, and scenes where you see a t-shirt wrapped around the actor's head make it pretty obvious. If you could be realistic with your expectations, A Man Called Rage can prove to be a fun affair for an entertaining popcorn flick. Future Hunters, 1986. In 2025 AD, a lone adventurer explores the post-nuclear wastelands in search of the most devastating artifact in history. When he finds it, he manages to travel back in time to Los Angeles in 1989. He seeks the help of a young couple to prevent the upcoming nuclear holocaust that did permanent damage to the world. Will he manage to prevent the inevitable? This is a little gem for the B-movie lovers who will love the gloriously ludicrous action that runs throughout the film. There isn't much substance in the ridiculous plot, and the cheap production leads to a hilarious end result. What drives the film, though, is the gimmick and style that captivates the audience. From biker gangs to kung fu, you pretty much have anything you can want for your action-packed entertainment. The director, Sergio H. Santiago, has been involved with many other B-movies, and he does a great job here as well. Robert Patrick is a treat to watch on screen, and his character shifts from being beaten up in the first half to beating up in the second half of the movie. Some of these scenes are influenced by Indiana Jones and Star Wars, while there is obviously a glaring resemblance to Mad Max. The action sequences are fun to watch with all the martial arts fights, helicopter explosions, and bike chase scenes. Ignore the lack of logic and wafer-thin plot of a movie, and you are sure to have a wonderful time.
And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks everyone.